Greetings, everyone. This is basically going to just be a video about, I guess you would say, my comics history per se, or at least a small portion of it. I guess you could equate it with how I got into comics or whatever. But I remember a friend of mine at school. We had to walk home from school one day, and we would always reach his house before I would reach my house. And one day I stopped over, and he showed me about 2 or 3 boxes, and one of these boxes had, I'd say, easily 300-400 comics in it. And although there were like dozens upon dozens upon dozens of titles, there were really only 2 that stuck out to me. One was Not Brand Etch, which was Marvel's sort of lampoon type comic that sort of made fun of all their mainstay characters. And the other one was the X-Men, the original 5, Scott and Jean and Bobby and Warren and Hank, along with Charles Xavier. And I automatically gravitated to that comic book because it was like, even today, the team concept is just something that I still like, no matter how kid friendly, no matter how over the top violent. I still like team comics more than I do comics that feature individual characters. But anyway, a little bit later on, I was at a store. I don't think it was a comic store, but I think it was one of those stores that would have a spinner rack that would have comics in it. And I think the next comic that caught my eye, I mean, of course I saw Superman, Batman, and whatnot. That didn't really do anything for me. But when I saw an issue of the Fantastic Four, and it had the Inhumans on the cover, I think that's where I went from interest in comics to pretty much being totally sold on comics, because that lead image of Black Bolt pretty much flying like he's flying toward you, and Mr. Fantastic elongating his arm as if his hand is elongating towards you, was something that just caught my imagination pretty much like no other. And from there, I was basically just enamored, and really haven't looked back since. And I think where it was even ratcheted up a bit more was one day in school. A friend of mine brought in about 10 comics that he had purchased at that time fairly recently, and once again the comic that caught my eye, that stood out, was the X-Men. At this time it was giant size, all new, all different X-Men. And I gotta tell you, I begged him to let me borrow that comic, because it wasn't like anything I had seen before. It was basically like the united colors and cultures of Benetton kind of thing, where you have all these folks banding together internationally. Someone representing Africa, someone representing Japan, someone representing Canada, so on and so forth. And I don't know, it was just like these comics were essentially like reading a movie or reading a TV show. And even to this day, although my tastes have changed somewhat from then, comics still are a big part of my life, and one does not easily give up on one's passion unless there's an obstacle in life that keeps you from your passion. So I don't know. That's my take on things. I may do a second part to this, or perhaps not. But for those of you out there, that have a similar story to share, I hope you'll put it down either as a comment, or if not, maybe even a response vid. Anyway, that'll be it for me for right now. I'm going to go ahead and nurse this cold or allergy or whatever it is I have, and talk to y'all later. Thank you. Good night.